Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is Mr. Shakespeare again with you on the 5th of November 2025, joined as usual by psychic medium and remote viewer, Liz Cross. How are we doing today, Liz?
We are doing well, Mr. Shakespeare. What would you like to know?
Well, I posted something on the Discord earlier on today, and I'd like to follow it up with a probe. And I put on there, if you don't follow up on, populist right policies, you'll end up with populist left policy. This is in relation to what just happened with all the elections and everything in various areas in the US. A lot of people are saying that Trump is not following his agenda that got him elected. Let's ask him, why is he not following his agenda that he got him elected?
Why are you not following your agenda that got you? I don't have to. Mm. What
Hmm.
do you mean? It's not working. What's not working? The agenda. Why isn't it working? Because it's unpopular. They want me to fix everything, but what it entails, the people they go ballistic over. They get very angry and upset. They actually want status quo. They don't want the budget cuts. They don't want job layoffs. They don't want this radical change. There's that word again, radical. We've had that 2 days in a row now. Um, in order to make things better. And
Okay.
he is worried about the election coming up next year.
Well, the Republicans did not do well generally in the local, state, governor, whatever. I mean, we don't need to go through each one of them, but there were quite a few over the last couple of days, and the Republicans did not do well at all. I think it was as a reaction that Trump's been in his administration's been in power now for 11 months or whatever, and people are not seeing the benefits. What has he got to say about that?
What are you saying about, what do you have to say about people not seeing the benefits of you being in? Who's invisible? They're there. He says the benefits are there. They're just not visible because a lot of this is government,
Right,
but it doesn't affect the day-to-day person unless they are heavily involved in these certain areas of government. They're not going
right,
to see the knock-on effect.
okay.
Um, and what about transparency? Because you've sort of clammed up with the transparency of what you're doing as far as the cut. Yeah, he had to. Why? Because it was unpopular. People don't want to know about others getting laid off from work. The job market is tough as it is, he says, and they don't want to know. So now we're having to do it quietly, but it's still happening.
Right. Um, some people say that his cabinet, his administration, has got quite a few neocons in there. Why does he have neocons, if that's true, in his cabinet?
Do you feel you have neocons in the cabinet? They have to be there. Why? Because he is trying to appease the people on some level. He doesn't really care so much outside of the USA what people think, but he is starting to worry about what people think inside the USA. So
I
he
mean,
needs this,
yeah.
you know, hard right, toe the line, um, conservatives in place. And do you think that they're doing a good job? He doesn't.
But why doesn't he fire them now?
Why don't you fire them? Because it's what the people want.
Okay. Well, people are not interested in the war with Ukraine, but he keeps funding Ukraine and, threatening to send missiles. I mean, why doesn't he just cut all funding to Ukraine, for example? Most Americans don't care about Ukraine. They just don't.
Why don't you cut all funding to the Ukraine? We can't do that.
Why not?
Why not? Because then we would be responsible. for a lot of deaths, a lot of destruction, and Russia taking over. And then they would blame America for that. The reason Russia won the war is because America bailed.
Sorry, who are they? Who would blame America?
Who would blame America? The world.
Right. Well, going by battlefield reports, telegram group, from Ukraine and Russian sources, Russia are winning the war hands down anyway. So there's nothing America can actually do to stop it. So again, why keep sending the money?
Why keep sending the money? Because Russia is winning the war hands down anyway. Because everybody's looking to the US to stop him. Why? What happened to brokering a peace deal? Why has that been shelved at the moment? It's just, he's got so much going on that he can't devote any time to that at the moment. What about Rubio? Is he taking care of it? He was. Is he still at the moment? No, no, they're focused on Venezuela.
Are they going to invade Venezuela?
Are you planning to invade Venezuela? If we have to, yes.
Okay. I mean, I can't imagine what it's like to have his job. It's just the things that he has to think about and do, and I mean, it's beyond belief. But from a voter point of view, and I'm not an American voter, but from a voter point of view, he was elected on doing certain things, and those things are not visible to the average voter. And so he has midterm elections coming up in a year's time. There could easily be a huge protest vote just against him and the Republicans. Is he aware of that?
Are you aware that it could be a huge protest vote against you and the Republicans because the economy is not getting better? He's aware of that. I mean, look, now politicians are going around trying to just, it's free, everything's free. We'll make it free. We'll take, take from the rich and give to the poor. And people are voting because that's what they want to hear. They want to hear, oh, it's free, this is how bad the economy is. So let's ask this question. So are you aware that, some politicians are promising a lot of free things, a lot of tax on the wealthy, and give to the not so wealthy? And this is how they're getting votes because the economy, yes, he's fully aware of that.
What is the purpose of placing sanctions random on and off all over different countries? What is he trying to achieve by doing that?
What are you trying to achieve by placing sanctions on different countries? Compliance. And what is the purpose of posting or putting tariffs on all over the world? Because ultimately it's the individual consumer that has to pay more. See? Okay, I knew that. He is looking at this from an old-fashioned point of view. He's looking, I knew it, because the answer that came back was, well, people won't afford to buy the products, they just won't buy it and they'll buy American. That is his thinking. But as we know, that's not working.
It can't work because America's, I mean, we're now we've given up on, sorry, not given up, sorry. We have finished with the industrial age. We're into the information age. America cannot outproduce China. It's got, a fifth of the workforce, and America's wage expectations are way in excess of the average Chinese worker. And so, you would not be able to wholesale. I mean, yes, things may well be better in America. I mean, growing up when I lived there, I would look for a made in America cotton because America cotton shirts, t-shirts, whatever, Levi's jeans, brand recognition there. If it had made in America, it was made properly. But that costs money nowadays. And when Clinton was in power, he basically started the outsourcing to China, and a lot of companies got very rich overnight because they're suddenly there. their costs went down. But how do you expect, your America works on a completely different cost basis than China. How does he expect that to be, how does he expect that to match up?
How do you expect the cost basis between America and China to match up? We have to make it work, is his answer. And I'm saying, okay, what if we did bring manufacturing back? Hypothetically, pipe dream, I know. But what if we did bring it back and instead of having American workers in place, they had robots? Because just this week or in the last week or two, there's been this new robot Neo that will apparently do all your laundry. And I mean, I'm like, oh my God, that's a dream come true if only I could afford it. Because anybody with kids knows you always have a mountain of laundry. So what if they did manufacturing and they had a bunch of robots that were able to make the material and minimize the need for actual physical human employees? Would that salvage the economy? And he says, yes, it would. American products would go down. See, he believes that the cost of living would go down if that were the case. I just think we're too far in the other direction to revert back to that.
Mm. Yeah, quite probably, yes. Mm. Okay. All right,
Well,
let's
that's what I get. That's what I
yeah.
get from the founding fathers. So let's ask them, will we ever revert back to being a manufacturing hub, even if we're using robotics? No, no, we won't, because the cost of even moving all
Yeah.
of those businesses back is so expensive that businesses are not willing to make that move. You'd have to move everything back, all the equipment, all of the materials. Don't forget, they're also sourcing materials in China for a lot less money than they would have to source them here. They can't even source a lot of the materials here. They're not made here anymore.
Right. But that's, I mean, this is part of the thing. So, you know, if I was if I was president of the US, what I would be doing, apart from a lot of what I think I would be doing in this specific thing, I would say, okay, manufacturing's gone. We'll let China manufacture most stuff. We'll do specialist high-end stuff in the way that Americans can make brilliant stuff, and they can. And then we'll concentrate on the information age, because that's where we're heading into, and we will make ourselves world's leader in that kind of thing. Now, that doesn't help a factory foundry worker in Detroit who's used to pouring molten metal in a car factory. I understand that. And I don't know the solution. This is why I would hate to have his job. Absolutely hate to have his job. The stuff that these people have to think about is just beggars belief. Anyway,
Well, yeah, but we don't put ourselves in the position to do that job
no,
because,
we don't. But you do understand that when you do these probes, not everything is as black and white as you see, There are so many
mm,
things behind the case. And of course, the average, going back to voters again, they're not they don't think, they just see, money in my pocket, what can I do? Have I got any or have I not? Is life better before or not? If not, we'll vote the other people in. I mean, it's just an endless cycle, you know?
okay. Well, let's grab the entity of the American voting population. What would you like to know?
Um, okay, you sprung that on me. What would I like to
I
know?
know.
Uh, um, How do you feel about what Trump and the Republicans were saying prior to being elected compared to now, 11 months after?
How do you feel about Trump's, how he's been performing in the past 11 months? Overall majority, thumbs down.
Yeah.
They're not happy.
Well, we can see that with the local election results. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
What would you need? Is it mainly the economy? It's 100% about the economy for most
Yeah.
voters.
Most people, that's what they're bothered about. Most American voters Most American people are bothered about the economy, not a war elsewhere, not what happens in China, not what happens in Russia, not what happens in Greece or Turkey or anywhere else. They care about what happens in the US of A. Nothing's changed.
Do you think that anything has changed since Trump has been in power? The economy's gotten worse. That was their response. And so if, say, perhaps there was Doge refund checks or stimulus checks, they're still giving a thumbs down. Why are you still giving a thumbs down? It's not enough. It's not enough.
Well, then the only other way around it is yet another round of endless quantitative easing. In other words, money printing. In other words, money creation. In other words, massive inflation.
But it's just passing the buck down the generational line. Let it be someone else's problem, not our problem.
That's
And
what they
that's what
always do.
happens.
Politicians have done that ever since time immemorial. They kick it down the line. No politician. One thing he said, I mean, a lot of things he said, I agree, I can understand. I mean, I just do because these probes are pretty good, when we get down to it. But one of the things that really struck out is that people don't want the pain that they would have to go through to get to everything right again. And that's true. Nobody wants that. Nobody
Mm,
will go through that willingly. They just won't. He's absolutely correct, you know?
mm.
The problem
Yeah.
is the MAGA, make America great again, should have said, comes with a massive price tag, and are you prepared to pay it? You know? And if not, then the only other thing is massive monetary inflation, yeah, which is,
He
low.
underestimated, I'm sorry, go on.
Well, it'll be low interest rates or lower interest rates and just endless money creation, which is another version of kicking the can down the road.
Mm. He
But everybody,
underestimated the strength of the American people. As you were talking, I was asking him, and he really did. He thought he's looking at this with this sense of nostalgia, 70s, 80s,
yeah,
right? That's what he's looking at. People are hardcore, they're very patriotic. They're very much for their country. It's not like that anymore. He
no,
underestimated the strength of the American people, which is right now, not saying that people are not patriotic, but that what I'm getting from this voter population entity is that, they feel that they've been let down and
yeah.
they're not going to bat for their country anymore, right? They're not joining the military. That's changed. Whereas before, people would love to sign up to the military. It was a great sense of pride and duty. It's not like that anymore. He underestimated that.
Mm.
That's where he got it wrong. He got it wrong with wanting to bring the manufacturing back full scale. He wants to see like a Ronald Reagan sort of style industrial production and patriotism. It's not going to be like that. And it's never
No.
going to be like that ever again. And in fact, what I'm getting from the founding fathers as we're going forward is that the more we're going into time, the more we are coming detached from this idea of nationalism, being patriotic, the sense of pride, particularly with the younger generations. They don't care. They're not in the same way. So that's where Trump's got it wrong. And he's got kids, What do kids do? Kids keep you young, they keep you fresh. You get to know what they're thinking, your grandkids are thinking, right? You get to understand it more. He has a
Uh,
massive ego. And we've gotten time and time again that the only way they have any sort of relationship with him is if they revolve around him, his work, his ideas, his thinking. And this is where he's gone wrong. I'm telling you, Mr. Shakespeare, I can see it.
yeah, well, he should listen to, yeah, I mean, again, he's got a lot of the wrong people in his administration, neocons, military industrial complex people, all the old world thinking of everything, which is why, he's potentially getting America involved in more wars. That's why no one wants to join the military, by the way. And there's a good chance you'll have to go and fight someone. And it's
Yeah.
not like it's not like the old wars, like with drones and everything. Anyway, all right, we've rambled on about, and this has been quite good. We'll pick
Yeah.
another one of these up later, but let's shut this one down for now because we've got a couple more to do. Thank you.
Okie dokie. Thank you, Mr. Shakespeare. And thank you all. And thank you to our Patreon members. We
Absolutely.
just appreciate you all so much. If it weren't for you, there would be no us. So thank you.